Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. In the United States, Intel, a veteran chip giant that developed earlier, has dominated the chip industry for more than 20 years. It was not until 2017 that Samsung surpassed Intel to win the global market crown with its advantages in memory chips. Last year, TSMC reached the top with its foundry. Since last year, due to the decline in chip demand and chip restrictions, Intel's performance has declined the most. Samsung and TSMC seem to be stronger because of their foundry advantages. First, look at Samsung. Although Samsung has been dominated by TSMC in terms of wafer foundry, it seems that it can only be the second child in the millennium, but it is the leader in memory chips, and the market share of the 2 series of memory is the first in the world. Although TSMC has more than half of the wafer foundry market share, and its chip manufacturing technology is superior to Samsung, but because of the large amount of memory chips used, Samsung is the world's number 1 in terms of overall chip production capacity, far ahead of TSMC. Therefore, TSMC is also jealous of the storage business, and has also strengthened storage technology cooperation with Micron and SK Hynix. Samsung has dominated the DRAM memory market for 30 years, with a market share of more than 40%. In the NAND flash memory market, Samsung has also ranked first for 20 consecutive years, with a market share of more than 30%, which shows how powerful Samsung storage is. However, it is precisely because Samsung's share in memory chips is too large. The price of memory chips has skyrocketed in the past few years. Samsung's revenue has surpassed Intel's to become the world's number 1. However, the demand and price of memory chips have continued to decline since last year. Affected by this, Samsung is naturally the manufacturer that has lost the most. As the saying goes, Samsung also stores when it succeeds, and stores when it fails. The situation of the chip industry this year is still not optimistic, and it is not clear that the situation will improve in the second half of the year. As a result, Samsung's performance plummeted. Recently, Samsung announced its first quarter performance report, and its profit plummeted by 96% year-on-year. This is the lowest in the 14 years since the financial crisis in 2009. In order to avoid continued decline in performance, Samsung changed its decision not to cut production and announced a reduction in production of memory chips. This is Samsung's first storage production cut in 25 years. And the rate of reduction may increase further in the future. It can be seen that Samsung really can't stand it this time. Second, look at TSMC. Because TSMC has become the world's leading foundry business, coupled with the global core shortage in the past 2 years, TSMC has made a lot of money. Last year, it surpassed Intel and Samsung to become the world's number 1. In terms of wafer foundry, TSMC can be said to be the best, leading its peers by not a little bit, and its market share is close to 60%. In terms of chip manufacturing technology, although Samsung has followed up, TSMC's yield rate and stability are even better. Because giants such as Apple, AMD, and MediaTek are all customers of TSMC, and Qualcomm and Nvidia have also transferred orders from Samsung. Therefore, TSMC is more resistant to pressure than other foundry companies. When the second-tier fabs began to suffer in the second half of last year, TSMC's performance was still rising, and it is still the same in January and February this year. However, it began to decline in March. Recently, TSMC announced its performance in March this year. Revenue fell 10.9% compared to February, and 15.4% year-on-year compared to March last year. Revenue in the first quarter did not meet expectations, down 14 to 18% from the fourth quarter of last year. It can be seen that even though TSMC has a strong foundry strength, it is beginning to be affected by the weak economy and declining demand. Not only that, the market evaluation agency is not optimistic about TSMC's performance this year, and has once again lowered its revenue forecast for the second quarter. Previously, it was estimated that TSMC would decline by about 4% in the second quarter, but now this rate has increased to 5 to 9%. The reason is that the demand for PCs and mobile phones is still declining, and customers such as Apple and MediaTek will continue to reduce orders in the future. According to recent survey data, PC shipments in the first quarter of this year fell by 29% year-on-year, of which Apple's shipments fell by 40% year-on-year. TSMC has always said that the market will improve in the second half of the year, but according to relevant forecasts, there will be no V-shaped reversal in the second half of the year. Therefore, Morgan Stanley said that TSMC's 7 nanometers, 4 nanometers, and 3 nanometers production capacity may all decline. It is estimated that TSMC's capital expenditure this year will be at the lower limit of $32 billion to $36 billion, and will drop to $30 billion in 2024. Not only that, Samsung and TSMC are also facing the problem of building factories in the United States, because applying for US chip subsidies will face a number of harsh terms, which restrict their development in the mainland, which will add disadvantages to their future development. Based on the above situation, some foreign media commented that the two chip giants TSMC and Samsung can't stand it anymore. Thank you for your watching.